Hi, this is Bill, and this is my review of the OFNA JL12e Ready to Run. Before I start, I want to bring to your attention that this car has been discontinued. OFNA has been distributing the car from December 2010 to December 2013. I didn't learn it was discontinued until after I placed my order for the car. I was originally going to skip reviewing the car when I learned it was discontinued, but I figured since that I already paid for shipping, that it's worth taking a look inside the box to see what's included and share that information with you before I ship it back. I had planned to use the car for club level racing, so parts support is extremely important to me. Fortunately, OFNA still has plenty of parts in stock as of today. In fact, I have learned there are still 20 units left in distribution from OFNA, but inventory won't be restocked when it's gone. I guess you could say the JL12e is officially a collector's item. I won't be providing any video clips of driving demos in this review, but I will base some of my opinions based from input provided by others on the web. So let's get started. This car is actually rebranded through Active Hobby as the A210 DSR. You might be able to tell right off the bat that the front shocks are laid down pretty low, and that's to support low-profile touring car bodies, and that really sets this design apart from most other 1/12 size cars on the market. It offers an efficient belt drive design with four-wheel drive, a front lock spool, and a rear ball diff. The electronics that are included are very basic. On further inspection, the label on the servo has markings from Nanda, which is also known to be a rebrand under the name Exceed, which is distributed by Nitro RCX. Not only are the electronics identical between the Exceed, Nanda, Active Hobby brands, but much of the hardware and design implementations are very similar as well. There are no product specs available which indicate the speed of the servo, however it feels somewhere between 0.16 and 0.19 seconds per 60 degree swing, as I have tested the Exceed servo previously. And it has plastic spline gears with a rating of 3 kg/cm, which is kind of weak if you ask me. Adapters are included in the kit for all popular brands of servo splines if you wish to swap out the servo. I would highly recommend upgrading to a faster metal gear servo as soon as possible. The stock 540 size motor is a brushed 23 turn motor. The ESC is a no-frills auto calibration unit with no advanced features. It lacks low voltage cutoff or any various modes of operation such as inability to disable reverse, no punch control, etc. It can be problematic if you are entering a turn and try to feather the brake. If you accidentally double pump the brake, the second succession of the trigger on the brake could inadvertently engage reverse and cause the car to violently spin out of control. Ouch! The radio is a basic 2-channel 2.4 GHz system. It takes 8 AA batteries. It has trim and dual rate adjustment knobs for both the throttle and the steering channels. It includes a standard Futaba style charge jack, but no charger is included for either the radio or the car battery, and no car battery is included either. The battery connector included on the ESC is a Tamiya style Molex. The battery tray can accommodate any size battery pack up to 135 mm long by 50 mm wide by 25 mm high. The plastic battery strap has a slight curve which can be problematic fitting traditional 2-cell hardcase LiPo packs unless you trim the core portion of the cover. If you decide to run a LiPo, it might be a good idea to hook up a low voltage alarm to the balance port of the back as a safety precaution. The battery holder can be completely removed and slots are included to use strapping tape to hold the battery in place if desired. Some racers feel that hard plastic battery straps add too much stiffness to the chassis, where more flex usually equates to more traction. The chassis has no upper deck and there is an incredible amount of flex to the design as it is, so it might be worthwhile just to use the existing battery strap first, then you can make tuning adjustments later if desired. I'd say the car is made of roughly 95% plastic parts, with very few metal parts here and there, such as an aluminum motor mount, full metric hex hardware, and aluminum shock caps with aluminum threaded spacers on a plastic shock body. The 12mm hexes are made of chrome-plated plastic, and it's necessary to add shims between the bearing and the hex pin on each axle. I would immediately replace the plastic hexes with aluminum hexes, as the plastic hex tends to deform if you happen to over-tighten the wheel nuts. The shock springs have an inner diameter of 13mm, and they measure 22.5mm in overall length. They are identical to the springs used on the Exceed Drift King, where Nitro RCX offers several springs in 3 different stiffness options. I don't particularly care for the layout of the front shock tower. There used to be an upgraded shock tower option which provided a more traditional setup with the shock stood up more vertically. There are 3 different shock holes on the front tower with 5 holes on the rear tower. Although there are turnbuckles throughout the car, it appears that the stock setup has the threads of each ball cup fully seated into the knuckle of each turnbuckle. If you want to reduce more negative camber, then you'll likely need to trim some of the plastic thread from the end of each ball cup. The CVD shafts are 30mm long, and the axles are 100% compatible with the Exceed Drift King axles. However, the Exceed shafts are 45mm long, which makes sense as the width of the JL12e is only 165mm, which is 25mm more narrow than the Exceed Drift King. Some JL12e owners have mentioned that their cars were a little on the weak side, probably because the plastic is thinner than other designs on the market. Some 112 cars tend to use 1/10 thickness of plastic on the arms, C-hubs, and steering spindles. Here is a comparison with the JL12e arms on the left and Nanda NRX10 arms on the right. On page 14 of the user manual, they show plastic CVD blades on the end of the ball pin. However, none are actually included. The included ball diffs are solid plastic. The plastic diff cups have also been reported by others to prematurely fail. If you visit the Active Hobby website, you'll see a large collection of aluminum upgrade options that existed at one time. However, they are all discontinued, so you're pretty much going to be stuck with the plastic diffs as is. No sway bars are included, however there once was an option for them as well. It is possible to make your own sway bars using this picture from Active Hobby as a guide for placement of the parts. Probably the most important upgrade to me would have been aluminum steering bracket. The existing plastic servo saver and plastic steering bracket has an insane amount of flex and slop. Probably no big deal for a basher, but would certainly present centering issues and consistency tracking in corners for racing. There is a possibility that the same steering linkage for another car might fit, but I haven't tested any linkages to see what aluminum parts might work from another brand. The suspension arms have a lot of slop between the suspension arm holders. There are no spacers to adjust the wheelbase on the front, but there is one spacer on the rear arm. It would be a good idea to shim the gaps to help clean up the slop. Droop screws are included in each arm. The body is screen printed PVC with pre-applied decals. There are some bubbles in the decals which are too thick to properly form around some of the curves on the body. It's probably not a big deal anyway, as the body probably won't last very long unless you reinforce it with some amazing goop and tape on the inside of the body. Although the included wheels are standard M-Class wheels, I installed some slightly larger M60 wheels to verify that they can clear the body and help provide more tuning options for the car. Here is an example. The 2 single most important missing upgrades that are preventing me from wanting to keep this car are the front 3-way diff and the rear aluminum diff cups. It's really a shame these upgrades were never available from OFNA. I think hop-ups are vital in keeping folks happy with the design, that will stand the test of time. If you plan to use this car for local club racing, then I definitely would not recommend it, as parts support will be limited to quantities on hand as the car has been discontinued. If you are a collector, then now is the time to buy this car. Even if you plan to carefully drive it so not to break any parts, it may last a very long time. I just wouldn't drive it very aggressively to avoid damaging the plastic ball diff cups. I would stock up on lots of diff cups, suspension arms, C-hubs, and turn spindles before parts go out of stock. I hope you find this review helpful, and thanks for watching.